Now, I didn't do this last month or anything because I didn't really think about it, and also the fact that I was working. But, everybody was talking about it, and it is hard to believe that I'm looking at the poster right now. It's been 5 years. Yeah, time goes by quick, doesn't it? 5 years since My Little Pony the movie, or My Little Pony Friendship is Magic the movie, was released in theaters by Allspark Pictures, now E1, or at least unless they still go by Allspark Pictures, and Lionsgate. And to say this was actually more successful than I think Hasbro, Lionsgate, or anybody else expected it to be would be underselling, the prominence of the franchise even today. This was an actually very good movie. I mean, of course, I did a review on it and all that, and you can check that out here on my channel. But this, like I said, was actually a very good movie. Now, the only complaint anybody ever had with the film, I'll be honest with you, it's kind of early. I do apologize. It's about almost 7:30, because I have to get ready for work. But anyway. The only issue I think anybody had with MLP's movie was the fact that it felt like continuity-wise it took place not between seasons 7 and 8 or anything like that. No, it felt like it took place between seasons 4 and 5, to be more precise. That's what it felt like. Not seasons 7 and 8, basically being that bridging gap like Transformers the movie, the 1986 one, was for season 2 to 3. This felt like more of a bridging gap between 4 and 5. Even though they had, a Starlight in there alongside Trixie, even though some people would say she was added in last minute in the background and stuff. It still felt like, it was written for seasons prior to what it was supposed to take place in between. Based off Twilight's nervousness and stuff like that. It just felt like something was off, but outside of that, it didn't deter from the enjoyment of the film. I mean, the fact that you had, from what I understand, sellout crowds or near sellout crowds, opening night, opening Thursday evening before the official opening day, which was October 6th. But to hear that you had, crowds on the evening of October 5th, if you will, at theaters, lined up to see this movie, not just kids, but grown men and women, the Bronies and the Pegasisters. That basically should be a sign at that time, and even now, that the fandom was very strong, and that you could not underestimate any fan base based around, if not supporting, certain franchises and characters. And with the attendance the way it was on opening weekend, mostly in the evenings and Saturday and the Saturday that followed, could attest to that. It could really attest to that. And for me, of course, I was, as I've mentioned before, slowly getting into the fandom, slowly starting to understand it, and starting to get, behind, the, not just the show, but behind the characters, starting to find some favorites and all that, like Rarity and Luna, of course, were my first two, both like ironically voiced by Tabitha St. Germain. And then, of course, over time, getting behind other characters and starting to see basically why fans were, into the show. And I remember basically, requesting, and I was working at Walmart at the time, requesting about a month or so in advance the 6th of October off. I didn't have to say what it was. I just said it was personal. That's it. And next thing I know, I check my schedule, and I'm, for that week, and I am off. So what do? I get on my phone. I think it wasn't this phone, but it was another phone, if you will. But I get on my phone. And, well, I get online is what I do first. I actually get on my computer here, and I basically order tickets for the earliest showing. Because basically the plan was, okay, go to the earliest showing, get on the bus, go to Turlock and go see the earliest showing, so that way I can make it back in time before my mom got home. And that's what I did. Now, later on, of course, I did reveal to her and my family that I did do this. I did go and see the movie. But for a while, I didn't let her know it because she thought for all she knew, I was working. She thought for all she knew, I was working. So I had to basically make it seem like I was at work. Stuff like that. But over time, like I said, I kind of did tell them that I didn't really work that day, and I just went to go see the movie. I didn't specifically say why I wasn't, why I wasn't working. I just made it sound like I didn't work because, again, this was like several months later or something. Anyway, like I said, I went to see the movie, enjoyed it, of course, did a video on that as well, my journey to see the movie. And, I even did, even though it's lost now, I did a bit of a out of the theaters review on it and everything while I was waiting for the bus. But yeah, again, this was at a time when I started to really embrace being part of the fandom and all that. Because, from 2010 up to, I would say 13, 14, or something like that, 2013, 14, I wasn't too much into the fandom. In fact, of course, I have a video on here that states, I'm not a Brony. In fact, if I type it up, let me see, I think I put it on here, unless I took it off. Unless I took it off or something, but I did a video, yeah, here it is, 2012. I basically did a video on May 10th, 2012, saying that I am not a Brony and everything. That I respected what the series was doing, but that I was not a Brony, period. And then I did a video later on, I think about 4 years later to that exact day, 4 years to that exact day, believe it or not, I did a two-parter called Am I Slowly Becoming a Brony? And then about 2 weeks later in 2016, I asked the question, am I now a Brony? And then, of course, domino affected from there because, what it was is that, again, it was the appeal. It was the appeal of the show and the fan base, that got me to finally, just check it out. And from basically the time I did that video, that original I Am Not a Brony video, till 4 years later, I was slowly becoming a fan, and I started to slowly embrace it and everything, to the point that one of the episodes I recorded as part of my yearly traditional holiday specials and movies DVD set was Lunar Eclipse, the Halloween Nightmare Night special. So, the rest was basically history after that. And one of my first figures was a mini Luna Funko figure. That, not the ones with the dark eyes or anything, but the more statuesque collectible ones, like this one right here. And that's what kind of started the trend. In fact, I think, here it is. This was the first figure I ever got. One of them anyway. And this was kind of like a sign to me, like, okay, maybe I am becoming part of the fans, part of the fan base. And over time, before I knew it, I was, just supporting the show, supporting the franchise and everything. And to me, I think the reason was mainly because, as I've said before, this is a kind of a generational situation to where you don't see something like this happen every day, or every year. You don't see this, happening. You don't see this kind of phenomenon happening and staying relevant even into the next generation, the next chapter, if you will, of the franchise. You don't see it staying, relevant and as popular as it's ever been. I mean, Silver Quill Silverquill uploaded a video just recently where he teamed up with Mad Munchkin to promote the fact that both of them are going to be at Pony Cider Fest this weekend. And, that they're going to have Andrea Limbrand, the voice of Pinky and Fluttershy there, as well as other notable, community guests and stuff. And again, it shows you how big the fandom still is, even into the new generation. And even though the new generation is kind of like gradually, step by step, finding its stride with the new series and stuff, again, it's one of those situations to where this phenomenon is once in a generational situation where generations come together, franchise-wise, but keep that same generation of fans created with the generation previously, if you catch my drift. And that's kind of why, like I said, why I got into it, slowly but surely after that one video. Because even though I said in that original video I respected what it was doing, I was not there yet. I was not at that Brony level yet, but progressively I worked my way up to the point that I was like, yeah, I am. And I even did a confession video here on YouTube and Facebook that stated that, yeah, I am now, and I think it was one of the first videos I did since moving here to Newman from Patterson, that, yeah, I am a Brony. And, there's no shame of that. It's just, there's no shame in that because of the fact that I see other people like Dusty Cat, Silver Quill, people of my generation, growing up in the 80s and stuff, that, are Bronies too. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever, because if you find something that you enjoy and appreciate and can, see why others like it as well, that shouldn't be an issue, in my opinion. That shouldn't be an issue from, letting you kind of take part in it, see what the fuss is about, and maybe, become part of it yourself, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I had gotten to the point that after making that one video, like I said, when I confessed I was a Brony, I think it may have been around the time I first moved here, or actually it wasn't one of the first videos I did when I moved here. It was actually a little before and after I saw the movie. But basically, I wouldn't have gone out and did what I did to see the film, make a journey video and everything, buy the tickets in advance, if I hadn't come to accept the fact that, yeah, the appreciation, respect, the change that this franchise has brought upon pulp culture, can't be denied, and there is something to it. I mean, even my second oldest sister, when the show first came out, said that she watched a little bit with my one of my third oldest nephew when he was young, and that they both liked it. She even liked it. So, once I heard her say that, and then even my niece, when she was eating lunch with me and my friend and our church friend one day, she even kind of admitted that, there's no shame in liking it. And that's basically the confirmation I needed both ways, to be like, yeah, maybe there isn't no wrong in this. And again, over time, it just grew on me to the point that it started with that Luna figure and went to a Rarity plush and so on and so forth. And as you've seen in my videos prior, I should say, in the past, whether it's my collection videos or my room tours, I have a lot of MLP content now. I even have the complete series, season 1 to 7 officially on DVD, as well as I've recorded, seasons 8 and 9 onto DVD, as well as dedicated single videos or single DVDs to Best Gift Day Ever, Rainbow Road Trip, Equestria Girls, Spring Breakdown, stuff like that. I can't think of the special right now. The one where she reunites with Sunset, reunites with Celestia, and of course Roller Coaster Friendship. I basically started to really get into the, not just the phenomenon itself of MLP, but the franchise, the franchise that is, but also the collectible part as well. And that is saying something for someone like me that originally thought it wouldn't happen to them, but it did. And again, to look back 5 years later on the movie's release, I'm reminded of what I did to see the movie. What the steps I took to see it on opening day. I'll never forget that. I never will forget that. So I'm just excited at the fact that the phenomenon known as MLP is still going strong today. I mean, when you have characters, let me see if I can find her here. When you have characters like freaking Izzy Moonbow reminding people of, Pinkie Pie by her personality and Rarity by her creativity, I think people can safely say that the fan base, not the fan, but the show is in good hands. And when you have a character like this, who I became a fan of instantly because I could see a lot of Rarity in her as well. When you have a character like her, I think the franchise, the future of the franchise, couldn't be in better hands, and that's a fact. And it's an absolute fact. And as I try to adjust the stuff here, and I think that's one thing people that still kind of underestimate it, still wonder, okay, why would grown-ass men and women be fans of this? They have to understand that when a show or franchise of any kind, whether it's aimed originally at younger kids or at the entire family or adults, if they have that something about them, that clickness, that total packageness, if you will, to them, that becomes appealing to just a certain section, but then slowly grows over time, then there's nothing really wrong with it. Because if somebody says you should check it out, and they check it out, and they're like, ooh, I like this, I want to watch more, and then they like what they see further on, and then they say, hey, you should check this out to somebody else, and as I mentioned before, do that domino effect, then there's nothing wrong with enjoying something that, even though originally meant for a different demographic or audience, when it first was conceived, there shouldn't be no shame of it. There shouldn't be no reason for people to look down upon you, even to this day, about it, in my opinion. I mean, here's the thing. Everybody gets down on me about Sonic here, right? About Sonic, tease me about him. But guess what? He is still beloved even by people my age, if not older, that grew up on him. Why? Because of the appeal, because of the characters associated with him in all different mediums and versions of his franchise. Whether it's Sad AM, whether it's Sonic X, whether it's the games, you name it. Excuse me. Or whether it's the upcoming Sonic Prime, people love the appeal that the character brings to the table. Or even if it's the movies. If it's the movies, people like the appeal that it brings to the table along with the characters associated. No matter what age you are, if the appeal works for you and gets you to become a fan and supporter, there's no shame in it. And to me, that's what it did for me over time with MLP. Ever since like I said, did that one video, over time the appeal started to get to me till I finally took a chance to see what all the fuss was, and started noticing, oh, wait a minute, Manliest Brony, Dusty Cat, what the heck? And the guy's about my age, if not older. Silver Quill, same thing. It's like, obviously, it's like something obviously is there that's appealing even to them. And so, again, those kind of elements, they suck me in. And you have Lightning Bliss, who's only like about, I would say 6.5 years younger than me, being into it. And it's like, obviously there's something there. People my generation that grew up in the 80s, throughout the 80s, or half of the 80s and 90s, there has to be an appeal. So I had to check it out for myself, and it grabbed me. It grabbed me is what it did. And I haven't let go since, and it hasn't let go of me since. And I think that's what people like about it. That generational, like I said, that generational, grab that it has on people, to where even if a new spin-off or a new continuation of it, debuts and becomes the new face, if you will, of the franchise, that generational pull that it had on you continues on to there, where you could start seeing elements of the original generation influenced with the new one, and along with not just its stories, its settings, but its characters, like an Izzy Moonbow, like a Pit Petals and stuff like that, a Sunny Star Scout, and a Zip Storm and a Hitch. You know, even a Jazz, if you will. So yeah, again, looking back on this 5 years later, I'm reminded of how I became a fan and still am a fan to this day, which I'm very proud of. I'm very proud of, and there's no shame in saying that. There's no shame in saying that. But anyway, though, guys, I just wanted to come on here. I know this video probably went a little longer than it should have, which it did. But I just wanted to come on here, give you my thoughts overall, looking back on the movie premiering 5 years ago, and how basically the franchise overall, you know, made me who I am today, and why I went and did what I did to go see the movie and still like watching the movie once in a while here and there. I mean, I have the movie twice on Blu-ray. I have it as part of the 2-feature collection along with the original 86 MLP movie, you know, because it was released on Blu-ray for the first time, as well as I have the Walmart exclusive with the little cup to it as well. But yeah, thoroughly, like I said, thoroughly enjoyed it when I first saw it, still enjoy it. And again, it's a reminder that, you know, just it's a reminder to me and anybody else that just because you think something is not for you doesn't mean you shouldn't give it a chance, because you might be surprised that if others your age, of your generation, are into it, that you might be the same along the ways. And they're not wrong in that. They're not wrong in that. I mean, yeah, some of the Bronies and Pegasisters have gone on to review other stuff, but still use their MLP OC vectors that they created when they were reviewing episodes in MLP related content. I mean, even Josh Scorcher still does his Firebrand character with TF2 analysis, and I think still does it occasionally for collab reviews and stuff. So does Ari. Arrow Mountain, she still uses hers. So they're not gone from the fandom or anything. G5 right now, it's just not the cup of tea. But I think if over time they give it a chance, it just might be. But anyway, though, guys, just wanted to come out here, celebrate 5 years of the MLP movie. Like I said, kind of reminisce on how I became a fan and what got me to do what I did to see the movie and everything. And that's all I really want to say. So till next time, guys, I will talk to y'all later. Live chat during the premiere. Like the video. Chat below. Comments will be open down below after the premiere. Also check me out at Venmo at Brian-Walmer-2. Cash App at BWRoses98. Support me there financially right away. Also at Patreon.com. So that's BWRoses with $1, $3 tier. And potentially a $5 Q&A tier. I'm still working on that. Also check me out at my Teespring store for merchandise you can't get any